Hi, how y'all doing? It is Monday, April 28th, right about 9:30 in the evening as of recording this video. As you can see, if you are watching, the full moon has gone down. The Wolfman has disappeared for a while. Got too long, was getting in my coffee, had to knock it off. Don't ever really worry about a clean shave. I take it down to, sandpaper and let it grow back. It's about time to do the hair again too, but it's not quite as pressing as the beard. One of my commenters playfully called me scruffy last night, and I kick out of it. It was funny. It was very true. I had gotten very scruffy, but no, not as scruffy. And Big Mac has decided that now is the perfect time to come over here and guzzle out of his water dish and make himself heard. And interfere with my video. But I have tried to record this video 3 times already. Well, this is the 3rd time. I'm not going to try to do it again tonight, so I'm just going to roll with it. I apologize for the gulping, slurping going on in the background. It will eventually go away. I keep water down. I do not have water periods. I keep that water bowl full, except when I go to bed. Wherever it's at, I leave it overnight to try to lessen the chance of there being a big mess in the floor when I come down the next morning. But the first thing I do when I come down the next morning, after I let them out and hit the start button on my coffee pot, is fill that water dish. This dog has access to water all day and for most of the night, but he will randomly come up to this bowl and drink like he has just crossed the Sahara. Did you finally get enough? Apparently so. And then the little one got to jump in behind. Her slurps at least aren't as loud. So today was a good day for me. It was difficult. It was challenging. I'm feeling it. Some aspects, I don't know if I should be feeling them the way I'm feeling them, and they have me a little bit concerned. But it was a good day, in part. I got to do some wrenching today to an extent that I have not done in well over a year. My folks' Jeep had over the past little while developed a tapping, knocking sound and a clunk whenever shifting into gear. Not coming from the engine, but coming from the transmission area. I have twice now explained this process, and I'm a little bit over it. I'm going to try to break it down simpler, as simple as I can, and still make it make sense. I might actually go into a deeper explanation of this process eventually, just for something to talk about. So where your engine and your transmission bolt together, that end of the transmission is called the bell housing. It looks kind of like a bell, and there's nothing in it. The transmission internals, the bands and all that, are located in what's known as the gearbox portion of the transmission, or the middle section of the transmission. At least for a rear-wheel drive transmission. Some front-wheel drives might be oriented a little bit differently, designed a little bit differently as necessary, you know. But I am not familiar with a front-wheel drive transmission beyond the fact, transaxle, beyond the fact that I don't like them. So in the case of a rear-wheel drive transmission, the front section is the bell housing, the center section is the gearbox, and the rear section is the tail shaft. Inside the bell housing, inside this, there's nothing in there, but nothing part of the transmission. The inside the bell housing is what's known as the torque converter and the flex plate in the case of an automatic transmission. For a manual transmission, it would be the clutch and pressure plate and the flywheel. The flex plate is a big ring gear, dinner plate size, a little bigger than that, platter size, 15 inches across or so. It's always a two-piece gear with a main section and then the outer ring, and they're welded together. And the gear is the big ring gear. The teeth are very important because that ring gear, those teeth, that's the gear that the Bendix gear from your starter makes contact with to actually spin the engine and start it. That ring gear is bolted to the crankshaft of the engine. And then bolted to the ring gear is the torque converter. The torque converter is basically a torque amplifier, torque multiplier. And its sole purpose is to give you the torque necessary to take off from a dead stop. A lot of people may not know, understand, an automatic transmission, first gear, the gear that you go into when you put it in drive, does not have anywhere near the torque necessary to actually get the vehicle moving from a dead stop. If you did not have a torque converter, or if your torque converter was bad, first of all, if you did not have a torque converter, there would be no connection between the crankshaft of the engine and the input shaft of the transmission. Let's say your torque converter failed. When you put it in drive and tried to go, there would be no go. Take your foot off the brake, and you know your car, truck will automatically begin to move forward. But without the torque converter, that would not happen. You could mash down the gas pedal, depending on the gearing in the transmission. You might eventually begin to crawl, and then that crawl might eventually begin to translate to forward motion, and then you would be fine. But without the torque converter, you basically have no takeoff. Torque converter looks like this big, chunky metal donut. Like I said, I can at a later point make a video detailing exactly what the torque converter does, how it works, how it does. I won't go into all that in this video. I'm already 9 minutes in. But the torque converter bolts to the flex plate, 4 bolts. Those bolts are part of the torque converter. So all you have to access is these 4 threaded studs. They are placed symmetrically in the torque converter in a cross pattern. And there are 4 pilot holes in the ring gear that those studs go through, and then on the other side of the ring gear, so the back side of the ring gear, between the back side of the ring gear and the back side of the engine, is where those bolts come through, and you have to put nuts, thread nuts onto those bolts, tighten them down. If those nuts get loose, and the torque converter becomes loosely mounted to the ring gear, that will cause a clunking sound when you put it in gear. And because the flex plate is designed to flex, hence the name flex plate, especially under load when you're going down the road, the engine's running, but especially going down the road, it will rattle and knock. This in itself is not specifically bad. It can get bad over time. Your torque converter kind of jerking around a little bit, it can cause problems with your torque converter. Can cause slipping. More to the point, it can cause issues with the flex plate. It can actually crack the flex plate, which is not good. Transmission or engine has to come out. In the case of a rear-wheel drive engine, rear-wheel drive assembly, it is easier and faster to remove the transmission than it is the engine. But one of them has to come out to replace the flex plate. So we don't want that. Plus, we don't want these random noises. They make, they make people nervous. And those 4 nuts had come loose. All of them were loose. One of them was backed almost all the way off the stud. And so the bottom of your engine deck, when everything's bolted together and in place, is higher than the bottom of the bell housing. So if you have what's known as a front sump oil pan, you've got plenty of clearance to get in there and work. If you have what's known as a rear sump oil pan, which of course this does, older Jeep, SUV, basically a truck without an open bed, 4-wheel drive, heavy duty suspension, straight axle. So there's no room for a front sump oil pan, rear sump oil pan. And basically what that means is the oil pan is in your way, because the bottom of the bell housing is beneath the bottom of the engine deck, but then you have the oil pan. On the bottom of the bell housing, all the way across up to the engine deck, is what's called a inspection plate. It's a dust and debris cover to keep road dust and debris from getting inside the bell housing on this bottom area. It mates to what's called a dust cover. There's another name for it, but I can't pull it up right now. And it is like a full metal gasket that is between the mating surfaces of the engine and transmission. But then it has this separate inspection plate on the bottom. So you can get in there, you can take that plate off and access the back side or the front side of the flex plate between the engine and the flex plate, where you can then access these 4 nuts. You either got to get somebody to bump the key to spin the crankshaft, or get somebody with a breaker bar and a socket on the crank nut, which is on the other end of the crankshaft at the radiator end of the engine, and manually turn the crankshaft. Not that hard. And that manually turns the assembly, which turns the ring gear, which brings each nut into the bottom area where you can get on it with a wrench or socket. In this case, with the rear sump oil pan, there was really only about 2.5 inches of clearance between the inspection plate and the oil pan. So couldn't get in there with a socket, but got in there with a wrench. And I was able to get in there and tighten up these 4 nuts and then put it all back together. My dad was out there helping me. When it comes to doing stuff like this, neither he nor I are in really any better shape for it. Both of his shoulders are shot to hell. One from an injury he took falling at work some years ago. That's what put him on disability, because he received some really serious damage to his shoulder, and I don't remember what the reason was, but they decided not to do surgery, just to let it do what it did. And then with his shoulders, trying to compensate with each other, and the fact that he has had two mini strokes in the past few years. I don't remember what the right name is. The abbreviation is TIA, TIA. It has caused nerve damage on his opposite side. So both my dad's shoulders are shot. So I'm weak as hell, from what I've been through. But neither he nor I are really any better in that department. So we were both up under there, and he was helping me. He didn't know how to do this. He's never done this. So I did it, and he was helping me do it, and we got it done. And I'm sore. I'm in a lot of pain from laying out there on the concrete. I used to be able to, lay down in the gravel and whatnot and work on stuff. I was out there laying on the concrete for like half an hour, 45 minutes, doing this 10-minute job. And I feel like I was used as a bowling ball, but instead of being bowled down a nice smooth lane, I was bowled through a rock quarry. But getting out there and doing that project felt good. It's something that I used to take for granted. Used to take a lot of things for granted. But it felt so good to get out here and do this. It was not a big job. It was not a big project. There was not a lot involved, but it was still the most wrenching work, the most mechanic work that I have done since I've been home. It's the most I've done in well over a year. And it felt really damn good. Like getting back on my bicycle felt really good. I'm sure tomorrow morning it's not going to feel all that good, but today it felt really good. And my folks called me a little while ago when they got home to let me know they got home safe. And I asked them how I was doing, and everything's perfect. No clunking, no rattling, no nothing. So it's that added bonus of knowing that I went in there to fix this problem, and I fixed it, and it's fixed. I'm not such a bad mechanic that is a rarity. Excuse me. It's not a rarity. I can fix stuff, and I'm good at fixing stuff. It's just I've always had this issue where, Murphy has been on my ass. It's been increasingly worse over the last 10 years, but, Murphy's Law has been a constant in my life for pretty much ever. And I have run into a lot of, stupid problems. And it's just this has gone way beyond, just needing to fix this or replace this. And now I've got to deal with this stupid shit that's not necessary. And it goes from something that I love doing to something that I love doing, but it's really pissing me off, that sort of thing. Sorry about that intense jump. That's how it makes me feel. But it feels good to set out to fix something, go to fix it, put it back together, and it's done. Not running into any other stupid issues. It's a great sense of accomplishment, you know. Even when it's something so simple. Sometimes, you know, just changing a bad light bulb can feel like a sense of accomplishment, you know. And it's always good to feel like you're accomplished. I was listening to this speech being given by a military official years and years ago. It was online. I don't remember when the speech was given or who it was given by. But he started his speech out, and I never forgot this. The first thing you should do when you get up in the morning is make your bed. Because that way you have already accomplished something at the very start of your day. And if you don't accomplish anything else throughout the day, you have at least accomplished something, and that makes you feel good. That gives you a sense of accomplishment, and when you have that first thing in the morning sense of accomplishment, you feel better about setting out to accomplish other greater tasks throughout your day. And that's something I never forgot. I do not always make my bed when I get up first thing in the morning. Not anymore. I used to. But that it doesn't have to be big. It can be a small feeling of accomplishment, and it can still be something good. I've talked on this longer than I planned to. I wanted to get into something else too. One of my subscribers last night made a comment on my video. Fairly new subscriber, but someone I'm very, very glad to have met. Really wonderful individual. Definitely I think the kind of person that I could probably hang out with and you know, just bullshit with or you know, work on cars with or something like that. Made the comment that, you know, I don't understand why you don't have more subscribers. And, you know, me being me, I had to take this long walk around a short block, this long-winded response. But I responded to him, but basically the short answer is I'm boring. And you know, there's no other way to say it, and it's not you know, a bad thing. I mean, it's not great, but it's not like I'm insulted by it. I'm boring. And I am. That's the truth. The vast majority of my content is pretty much the same thing. I'm some random nobody on the internet complaining about his problems. And that's what it is. Most of my videos are kind of depressing. And it's always the same stuff. I'm talking about my problems. I'm venting about, you know, my ex-wife. The only time it's really good is when I get to talking about something I enjoy, which is albeit kind of rare, or when I'm, you know, talking about my son, my kiddo. Otherwise, I'm boring. And when I started this channel, of course, the main goal was GoFundMe support. But I had intended on branching out into variety, trying to do some different stuff to bring variety to the channel and to, you know, all of you, my viewers, to interest you, to keep you interested, to hopefully bring more interest, you know, because if there's other stuff going on the channel that brings a wider range of viewers, you know, that brings more potential donations. But you know, I'm boring, and I don't do anything on here but sit and talk about basically how shitty my life is. And you know, that's why I don't have as many subscribers as I would like to have. Not anything against any of you. It's all entirely me. I'm boring. I'm boring, and the stuff that I talk about is not particularly interesting. Except maybe, I'm sure I've got some viewers that, watch my videos just to see somebody that might be worse off than they are, And I'm not saying I'm worse off than everybody else or than anybody else. I'm in a pretty bad situation, so people can say, damn, at least I don't have it that bad. Maybe that's one draw for the channel, but that's the long and short of it, is I'm boring. And it is my goal to eventually be able to branch out into doing other things. I talked about doing some things back when I first opened the channel that I might try to get back into doing again. But I'm hitting my time limit, so I'm going to get off here. I might make a second little video to expand on the things I might start trying to doing here soon. We'll see in a minute. But I'm going to try to expand interest for the channel. But, I can only do so much right now. So, thank you all for hanging out, for listening, and I hope you all have had a good day. My GoFundMe link will be in the description. I might talk to you again here in a minute, or I might talk to you again tomorrow. Who knows? We'll see. Y'all have a good night.